The mask is finally slipped, and what's underneath should terrify every American parent. A Democrat candidate for Virginia's top law enforcement position has been caught red-handed fantasizing about murdering his political opponents and their children. These aren't rumors or anonymous sources. These are his own words in his own text, screenshots, and they're circulating nationwide. The story has now reached the White House, and President Trump and Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt issuing official condemnations while Democrats remain silent. Jay Jones, he wanted to be the Attorney General, the person responsible for justice in Virginia. Instead, his leaked messages reveal someone consumed by violent hatred. When even Morning Joe says you should drop out, you know the evidence is damning. This is where radical rhetoric leads. So keep on watching. And just as Jay Jones' hatred consumed him from within, aging can consume our bodies from the outside. But while we can't control the hatred in politics, we can control how we age. A meta-analysis of 23 controlled trials showed that people taking collagen supplements saw real improvements in skin hydration, elasticity, and reductions in wrinkle depth. This is why I use Ageless Multi-Collagen, and I'm obsessed with how it makes my skin look. It supercharges my skin with 5 types of premium collagen needed to help reduce wrinkles. Since I started drinking collagen daily, I've noticed smoother skin, more elasticity, fewer fine lines, and a youthful glow. Plus, it helps improve joint health, bone strength, and connective tissues. Grab a bag for 51% off at healthwithgary.com. That's healthwithgary.com. You'll find it linked down below. Now, President Trump weighing in today in our topic about Jay Jones. 24 hours ago, President of the United States writes, it has just come out that the radical left lunatic Jay Jones, who was running against Jason Miyares, the great attorney general in Virginia, made sick and demented jokes, if there were jokes at all, which were not funny, and that he wrote down and sent around to people concerning the murdering of a Republican legislator, his wife and their children. Abigail Spanberger, who is running for governor, is weak and ineffective and refuses to acknowledge what this lunatic has done. Even Democrats are saying it is resignation from campaign territory. Democrat Jay Jones should drop out of the race immediately, and the people of Virginia must continue to have a great attorney general in Jason Miyares, who, by the way, has my complete and total endorsement. Jason will never let you down. So this has reached President Trump. It's also reached the Virginia Fraternal Order of Police. Says the Democrat Attorney General nominee Jay Jones is unfit for office after his violent text messages surfaced in which he expressed a desire to murder political opponents and see their children get killed. They call on him to drop out immediately. Here is the letter from the Fraternal Order of Police of Virginia. They are aware of recent text message scandal involving the Democrat candidate for Attorney General. While this incident may have occurred in 2022, the conduct has no place in our society or democracy, especially from an elected official who is running to be the top prosecutor in Virginia. The men and women of Virginia Fraternal Order unequivocally condemn these violent text messages sent by you about a political opponent and his family. So that message sent to Jay Jones for Attorney General campaign from the Fraternal Order of Police in Virginia. Now, we also have this from the White House. We're going to show you the text messages in a moment, but the White House did weigh in on it today. The violent text drawing fire from President Trump. Dem AG nominee Jay Jones threatened to kill a Republican and his kids. Leavitt backs Trump's condemnation. Zero tolerance for political violence. Dems silent as their own embraces extremism.
Ready to discuss.
A few days ago, President Trump demanded Jay Jones of Virginia get out of the race for condoning political violence in a text message against a Republican politician a few years ago. He hasn't left the race. He hasn't dropped out. What's the president's reaction?
Well, as you know, I'm not at liberty to discuss political races from the podium. I think the president himself made his position very clear, and I think anyone could agree the messages that were sent by this Democrat nominee for Attorney General in Virginia are really shocking, alarming, and completely unacceptable. He was threatening to kill his opponent and his opponent's children, and that type of rhetoric has zero place in our country. And the president was absolutely right to condemn that.
So President Trump condemning it, the White House confirming, and even Jay Jones losing MSNBC.
Congresswoman Spanberger. text messages came to light.
Deeply disturbing messages that have been swiftly condemned across the political aisle. The Republicans have tried to tie this to the Congresswoman Spanberger, the gubernatorial candidate. She did very quickly denounce them. But it's unclear whether this Attorney General candidate will stay in the race. I think there's a growing sense that he probably should not. We heard President Trump last night, but even some Democratic leaders, John Hyman, have started to say, like, look, this is inappropriate. You can't, and especially at a time right now with such concern about violent rhetoric and political violence.
Who says that?
Yeah, that this is just way beyond the line.
I would say, not to be too much on the high horse. It's wildly inappropriate under any circumstances today, tomorrow, 10 years ago, 6 months ago. I think the pressure is going to be on Spanberger and for the party to ask this candidate to just quit the race, because just both, it's the right thing, and also the political splashback. You don't want to mess with this right now.
Who says that?
I think the right thing to do is basically this guy should do everyone a favor and step out of that race.
Yeah.
Wow. They've lost MSNBC even. And we have this. I didn't want to read them out loud. Even Morning Joe isn't standing up for vile J. Jones texts. J. Jones, Western Lensman, 13 hours ago. Your priorities come into focus when you're a parent. My highest priority will always be the safety of our families. Also, J. Jones, I want my political opponents to watch their children die. This man should be nowhere near an elected office of any kind.
Horrific than a mother.
People always told me that your priorities come into focus when you become a parent. And my highest priority will always be the safety of our families.
You said, according to the article, I'm quoting, Gilbert's wife could watch her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert might reconsider his political views. I can think of nothing more horrific than a mother having to hold her dying child. How can Virginians trust a man who said something so horrific, so callously?
Well, again, I am so deeply, deeply sorry for what I said. And I wish that it hadn't happened, and I would take it back if I could.
People always told me that
you can't take it back because the cat's out of the bag. Jason Miyares, the Republican incumbent in the VA Virginia AG race, just released a career-ending campaign video against J. Jones.
But it's true. The Washington Post confirms J. Jones sent texts that imagined shooting the Republican Speaker of the House. J. Jones wished the Speaker's wife could watch her own child die in her arms. It's so disgusting. It's hard to believe, but it's true. J. Jones confirmed that he hoped an opponent's children could die to advance his political agenda. Can you trust J. Jones to protect your children?
I'm Jason Miyares, candidate for Attorney General. I sponsored this ad.
Yeah, that guy's done. Winsome Sears calls out Democrat leaders over J. Jones' bombshell leak. Everyone knows this is true.
The calls for hate and violence are coming from the mouths of the Democrat Party's leaders. And J. Jones is just the most recent, and his wish for violent acts the most clear. So if you can't solve a problem, you can't name it, but I will. And here and now, the leadership of the Democrat Party has become consumed with hate.
Oh, yes, they have. And they are openly assassinating. Remember this. Benny Johnson points it out. After Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump were both shot in the head by Democrats, you probably don't need more proof that Democrats want to kill you. But if you do, here's a story. Meet J. Jones. Jay is the Democrat candidate for the Attorney General of Virginia. Jay publicly fantasizes about shooting his GOP rival, House Speaker Todd Gilbert, twice in the head and pissing on his grave. He also wished death on Gilbert's small children, calling them little fascists, saying that only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. President Trump, J.D. Vance, even MSNBC have demanded Jones drop out immediately, yet the Democrat Party and all their support groups have kept their full endorsement of Jones. They've doubled down on the guy who wants to murder Republican children. That tells you everything. Democrats are the party of violence and domestic terrorism. They will vote for people who want to kill you and your children for power. These people want you dead. Many aren't even hiding it. Many Democrats think this way. J. Jones must drop out and face a full investigation. This is the same dangerous sickness that led to Charlie Kirk's assassination and 2 attempts on President Trump's life. So here are the text messages. They say nice things about everyone, LOL. If those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals and piss on their graves. Send them out awash in something. Jay Jones, 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. My God. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with 2 of the worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Oh my God. And whoever he's texting with says, Jay, please stop. And then he just replies, LOL, okay. And then he says, it really bothers me when you talk about hurting people or wishing death on them. Oh my Lord. More leaked text messages. You weren't simply asking questions and you know it. I genuinely was. I wasn't attacking you. I was trying to understand your logic. You weren't trying to understand. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert children should die. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. There isn't. I point blank asked you more than 3 times. And you dug in that you meant it. I honestly am asking, I am questioning a lot today. He replies, I do think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they are breeding little fascists. Yes. Wow. Absolutely disgraceful. And let's see here. Colin Rugg, 72 hours ago, Virginia Democrat AG nominee Jay Jones once fantasized about shooting House Speaker Todd Gilbert in the head, pissing on his grave. Jones was upset Republicans were eulogizing recently deceased former state legislator Joe Johnson. Oh, my Lord. Who says this? Unbelievable. He sounds exactly like the extremists who were celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder. Let's see.
And helped get illegal guns off prosecutors and the father of 2 young boys. I've always believed that keeping our community safe is the most important responsibility of any Virginia leader. That's why, as a delegate, I increased public safety funding by more than 20%, ensuring that law enforcement and our first responders have the resources and training they need to succeed. I also sponsored bipartisan laws to strengthen penalties for sex offenders.
Yeah, whatever, dude. It's time for you to go. Jay Jones, Alex Rusowitz writes, Jay Jones is an unhinged lunatic who is unfit to hold office. The people of Virginia need to make sure he's defeated. Vote for Jason Miyares.
Messages coming up, an attorney general candidate in Virginia is apologizing for his texts about a state lawmaker. We'll go through what the messages said.
Probably be forced to withdraw from the race.
Okay.
And probably is doing a lot there.
All right, Morning Joe will be right back.
Yeah, they have lost the plot. Holy cow, man. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. This is what happens when political rhetoric becomes a blood sport. Jay Jones didn't just cross a line, he obliterated it. When a candidate for attorney general fantasizes about executing political opponents and watching their children die, we're not dealing with policy differences anymore. We're dealing with dangerous extremism that's now reached the highest levels of government. The White House has spoken. President Trump condemned it. Press Secretary Leavitt called it out. Even liberal media can't spin this away. MSNBC says drop out. Fox News calls it career ending. Where are the Democrat leaders? Where's the condemnation from Schumer or from Biden or from anyone in Jones' own party? Their silence speaks volumes. They've created this monster with their rhetoric, and now they're too cowardly to even disown him, even as the White House demands accountability. So here's my question. Should threatening to kill political opponents disqualify someone from holding a public office? Can't believe I'm even asking this question. But let's have a conversation. Yes or no, comment below, and show where you stand at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.